Welcome to Resist with Joy podcast, where we amplify the voices of everyday people, empower our listeners to engage, show up, and become policy shapers of tomorrow. I'm Tina Marie.
I'm Martina, and we want to dive in the top of the news of the last week. And every week, so many things happen. So I think we should just dive in right now. Our favorite thing, isn't it?
I love it. What's on top of your mind this week, Martina?
Yes. So through history, we only heard about the Voting Rights Act and Selma and Edmund Pettus Bridge close to Montgomery, Alabama. And it was just in the history books. Over the years, I learned that it was the crucial events leading up to it that the Voting Rights Act was enacted in 1965 and Johnson was president. I didn't know any of that 2 years ago, just to let you know, everybody can catch up on history. But what happened, and we have talked about it before, that on April 29th, the Supreme Court decided to gut the Voting Rights Act the second time. And they did this in 2013. And there's a Section 5 that was gutted. And now they gutted Section 2 and pretty much made it useless. And we have to really look at the big picture. If we think of democracy, and in democracy, people are in power. Until 1965, minorities, and especially the Black community of this country, didn't have a voice. Not like we as a privilege as white people. I mean, we as women, not since 1929 or 1920s, right? Women could vote. But still, at the beginning, it was only those white, rich men that set up the system. So people fought for hundreds of years to have a real democracy. So 1965 was a crucial point that democracy actually were reached for Black communities. And now the Voting Rights Act is taken apart. And then you could say, we don't have a chance. We can't do anything about it. But yesterday, enormous protests were happening. Lots and lots of people were in Selma, in Alabama, and have now done the same walk over the bridge, just saying, we're going to keep fighting. This is not the end of the story of America, where we go back into or go to autocracy, or certain people cannot vote anymore. And I really want to mention that because it is quite, in the last 3 weeks, my mood was a little bit, there's so many things happening against us, right? Someone said the Republicans had a really good 3 weeks, right? But at the same time, this is where we have to keep fighting, and that we all are treated equal in front of the law and as humans.
It's very easy to let yourself feel defeated. And it's times like this we need to remind ourselves and be conscious of it, that we have to find our pockets of joy so that we can keep resisting and we can keep up the fight. And watching that entire group come together on that bridge, just out of the blue, it was amazing to see. And that should give us a lot of hope for our future. Because when we come together, we can make things happen.
Yeah, so we recommend watch some coverage about it. There's a lot. Now, while the mainstream media maybe does not cover it as much, that's where we come in as independent media. We can share pictures and videos and the storyline of that. It's not over. We're just really in a dangerous place for many reasons. But it's very clear. Apparently today on Sunday is this 9-hour prayer in Washington, D.C. But I don't hear it in independent media. It's not the story. The important story is that we're all treated equally in front of the law, and we have to keep laws in place that guarantee that. And this is the fight of our time for a future that we all want.
We just got to keep at it.
But this ties perfectly into that when I hang my sign up every week for the recording, and I always remind myself, our tagline is so cool, because I'm going to turn around to read it, from showing up to shaping policies, right? And we have a story to tell about SB 2471. We mentioned it several weeks now, because we were always going through the stages of like, is it possible that Citizen United can be overturned, dark money out of politics, just in the state of Hawaii? The legislator finished last week, and so it went through the legislator. I think the vote was 75-1, and we celebrated last week. And this week we can celebrate that the governor actually signed it into law. So it's not just a bill, it is a law in Hawaii. And we showed up, and the two of us, we are heavily involved in the group called Indivisible. And the lawmakers actually said, if the Indivisible actual chapters and all the citizens that are organized through that wouldn't have shown up all the time and kept pushing in hearings and giving testimony and putting protests up, it wouldn't have happened. But it did happen. And so we have the first law in our state legislature that says dark money, no more for political action.
Yeah, and this is another great example. This is why we do what we do. This is why we protest. This is why we show up. This is why we get into positions where we can actually shape policy. It's for this reason right here. Because when we come together, we can make happen.
Yes, we really shape policies. That is, I don't think it has really trickled down. Governor, apparently someone saw the governor on a Saturday, someone in Honolulu, there's a little signal group you have. And she said, she walked up to the governor and she hugged him because she said, thank you so much for signing it on a really speedy timeline. He had a few more weeks to do it. And apparently he said, it's like, I didn't want the naysayers to have something to say. And I really like that answer because, you naysayers working against all of us in the pursuit of multiracial democracy, so my goal is to push you at the edge of society and you don't have anything to say. I want something to say. I want Tina Marie to have something to say. So it's about the power and how power is sloshing around. And I'm on this mission to grab the power from the folks that just think the future they want to create. I don't want them. I don't want that. I want the future I envision, multiracial democracy and especially environmental protections. So we have a planet to live on.
Right. Can you imagine if we let the other side have their way, we're going to they're going to sell us air to breathe. That's what I see happening if they keep winning. So it's very important for us to stick up for ourselves and stick up for our humanity, stick up for our basic survival needs. And beyond that, stick up for our chance to actually thrive. We don't want to be stuck in survival mode. We don't want to pay for air. We want to thrive.
Yeah. It's super important that we actually use the word thrive, not just survive. We want to thrive. In America, was such a empire for all these years. It's unfortunately declining. We can see so many signs of that, but we can go back to that. We just have to really learn a hard lesson, and we're learning it right now. All righty. Back to you. What's on your mind?
There is another Hawaii bill, Senate Bill 3025. It passed by the legislators and now it's gone on to the governor. This bill establishes a statewide medical debt and acquisition and forgiveness program. Essentially, it will help eliminate roughly $90 million to outstanding medical debt for an estimated about 50,000 eligible Hawaiian residents. So the idea is that to help lower income families get relief for their medical debt. And there is an income eligibility for those that qualify. I didn't read too much into that. I can't quote me on that. But basically what the idea is we'd use the government funds to buy up the medical debt for pennies on the dollar and then just kind of give them relief. It is estimated that about 500,000 people go bankrupt due to medical debt in a year in the United States. So something like this is going to be a huge relief for a lot of low-income families who have mountains of medical debt for things that they can't control. But we don't get to choose if we have cancer or not. We don't get to choose if we have a long-term disability. We don't get to choose if we lose a limb or we're born without, certain senses. And those kind of rising costs just kind of destabilize our financial security throughout our entire lives. You can be healthy as a clam, do all the right things, do all the exercises, eat right, and then bam, you get into an accident and you're disabled for life. And that's going to have a huge impact on your quality of life as well. And I admire everyone who has disabilities, who have medical needs and are still finding ways to resist and thrive in their own ways. And just bearing the financial burden of all of that medical debt is atrocious. And it doesn't help us to maintain a good livelihood. So having something like this is going to be hugely beneficial for a lot of those families that are going through a crisis of medical debt. And I hope that the governor signs it.
Yeah. It's such an interesting, I said earlier when we discussed what we talk about is like, I don't know much about the bill and I'm glad you explained it. But to me, this is such a foreign thing coming from Germany. Nobody goes into bankruptcy because you have a serious disease or you need extra help for disabilities. Everybody has health insurance, it's just normal. So, but you have to do these things to relieve people of this. Really what it is psychological torture. It's like you can be healthy as a clam, like you said, but if your financial situation is always unstable or drags you down, you never get on good footing. And that's what I wish for everybody, have financial good footing, and then you can actually thrive. Everything feels different. I mean, for the longest time, I lived month to month as well. Fortunately, I reached a place where it's not so dire, right? To be month to month and always not knowing if you can pay certain things is psychological torture. And now that I learned more about America, it's kind of the game that they play. They want you to be tortured and held back. So then the richer can get richer. And just want to throw in a number. I listened to this again. My favorite historian, Heather Cox Richardson. For the last 50 years, I believe 50 trillion have come from where everybody was more equal 50 years ago. And then all the wealth just trickled up to the top. And it was 50 trillion. So 50 trillion dollars are with the 1% of the 1%. And we got the rest of it. It's just, these numbers are just mind-boggling.
And my theory is that they want us to be overworked. They want us to be in debt. They want us to be tired, because when we're struggling to survive, we're not paying attention to all the crap that they're doing. And we're easier to be controlled. And I think it's going to get to a point where things are just so astronomically expensive. Wages are not keeping up. There's not going to be enough jobs for everybody because everything's being given to AI or overseas. And people here are not going to be able to afford a place to live. I foresee a lot more people living in their cars, and then watch that become outlawed. And then they're going to go to prison. And then there you go. You got easy slave labor. Yeah, if you go with the federal government that we have right now, that's their plan. That's why they're buying up all these big warehouses to house people. I mean, they're huge empty Walmarts that maybe, the Walmart just abandoned that building. Unfortunately, we have these buildings in Kona too, right? We have a big Safeway and we have a big Kmart. Well, we can say that's their vision. But then going back to your bill, it was SB 3025. You can also, as a government, say, we want to relieve this burden of in this case, medical debt, and we're going to take it away. We're going to buy it for you. So when you look at your credit report, you're not burdened with anymore. So your credit cost goes up, which in itself, this system is all right. I don't really understand it, but then you can do other things. I lived here my whole life and I don't understand it.
What's that?
I lived here my whole life and I don't understand it.
Yeah, I think that's intentional too, because only with a certain credit score, you can do certain things, right?
And did you know when you pay off a loan, your credit score goes down?
Yeah, I've seen that too. Yeah, I go to sometimes to Old Navy, and every time I go there, and it's not often, they ask me if I want this credit card, and I'm like, I have a pretty good credit score, right? And then it's like, no, you're not approved. I'm buying things for like $69 or something like this, right? I'm like, do you want the credit card? I tried it once, and then I got on the phone. They're like, no, you declined. Clong. I think it's really funny because the system doesn't make sense. There's no common sense behind it.
I saw somebody make a post that commented on, department stores offering credit cards. And the way that they phrased this kind of always stuck with me. When you walk into any store and they offer you a credit card, immediately you have to understand that they are a bank first. They're a bank first, and they're selling merchandise second.
Oh, well, right there. So, yeah, I still go shopping there because I need my shorts, because they have the best shorts for me. But that's just a side note. But it's this whole keeping people in debt is intentional. I believe that too. Yeah. All right. What else is on the list? Top of the mind. I
have been following some people that are keeping up with stories coming from Iran, because we know there's an ongoing crisis over there. The regime is constantly killing people and whatnot and keeping them without internet. But sometimes little bits and nuggets get through. So I want to read something that came out from Iran from somebody's family. And this is what it says. It says, if you see stories coming out showing young people inside Iran seemingly fine, living ordinary life, it is not proof that things are actually okay. With this level of systemic unemployment, internet restrictions, and inflation, people need to meet their basic needs and find ways to live and experience life. If young people do not keep themselves busy just to distract themselves from reality, fear, and hardship, the next step is going to be mass suicide. So don't judge them, at least if you're not inside Iran and far from these spaces, because nothing there is okay. And that just kind of proves a point to our bigger overall message, is that even in times of chaos, you still have to push through somehow, and you still have to find ways to give yourselves moments of joy. And this message that I saw coming out of Iran proves just that we're on the right path when we have these nuggets of resistance. So I do wish all of the Iranian people well. And I am so sorry they're all experiencing what they're experiencing right now. And if it were up to me, I would snap my fingers and make it all better.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that too, not snap the finger, but if we get away from this being a predator as a human, right? Just, I want this, I want that, I want this, how everything can change. I follow a really interesting guy, forgot his name. You maybe have seen him online with really intense videos, black background, just the face speaking, but he is so good about explaining things. And he set up a whole community trying to break the paradigm. You know, it's like, let's not think predatory anymore. Think humanity, think between us. Ideas like, we don't need social media companies. Think of them as highways. Like we have highways to drive with this car on it, and it's for everybody. The government maintains it. The same with social media. We can have communication lines that are for all of us, and not having this predatory social media companies. And it's about communication, but it's really like they want your data. They want to know what you like, what you don't like. In this case now with this regime, if you're against the regime, I mean, if you come to the country now with visa applications, you have to say the last 5 years, you have to open up, tell them every handle you had on social media. I mean, that is surveillance, right? And then we have this company, Palantir. The technology is all there to watch us all the time. But snap the finger and make this whole paradigm shift to like, no, we all belong together. The social media should be for all of us. It is about socializing. It's not about preying on people. So yeah, Matthew Cook is his name. So we can put it in the show notes. I really enjoy him. He's quite intense, but he has a great community worldwide. And it's about how we get through this.
What's on the top of your mind?
Well, we want to talk about you again.
Oh, you want to talk about me? Oh,
That's right.
I'm embarrassed. No, I'm kidding.
We're going to do that a couple more weekends because you are running for chair for the Hawaiʻi Democratic Party. Last week, just recap, you figured out last weekend that you thought it is 4 people running for the chair. It's only 2 people.
Yep, it's only 2 people.
Yep. And give us an update. What's happening on your end? Is there anything that people can come and listen to and get to know you better? I mean, we try to be here open and what we think about and how we see the future. Give us an update. What's happening on your run for chair?
So what's happening is I created a nice little flyer. I'll have that inserted somewhere here. But I created a nice little flyer for myself that I want to get printed out for the convention. It's my first ever little campaign banner, so to speak. I created a campaign Instagram account, which is Tina Marie for Hawaii. And I made a candidate statement that I had to write up and put on the election website for Democratic Party of Hawaii. And so inside that candidate statement, I have a link to my Instagram. So if people want to get to know me a little bit more, I have extra videos there, endorsement videos, and all the fun stuff. And I received my first hate comment today on that account. It's like, you're a man pretending to be a woman, yada, yada, yada. And it was just so derogatory and so hateful. And I was like, God, I don't understand what possesses people to wake up in the morning and be like, you know what? I'm so unhappy with my life. I'm going to go and tell other people that they're ugly and they're stupid and this and that and just spew just hate. Like in my happiest moments, I have never felt like being mean to somebody else just for whatever reason. It just boggles my mind that people do this on a daily basis and they don't care. Now, I will say that I've grown up on the internet. I didn't grow up on the internet. That's not true. My teenage years, I started becoming on the internet. My entire adult life was on the internet. So not the first time I've encountered hate comments, and it's not going to be the last. And quite frankly, I've been through far worse in my life. I don't care. You can say all the nasty, mean things to me that you want. And the only thing that I'm going to think about you is that you're an unhappy person and you need a lot more love in your life and you need therapy. And every time I see that, I just go block, delete, block, delete, block, delete, because I don't care. It has no, like whatever you're trying to do with that hate comment, it doesn't work with me. You're going to get me laughing because I just think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, you can't take him serious, right?
Yeah, you can't take them seriously. Like if you want to talk to me about how dumb my policies are, fine, we can talk about that. But if you're going to sit there and try to like berate me or rage bait me based on my appearance, I'm just like, whatever, go away. I don't take value in that. But yeah, so there's only 2 of us running. I have a candidate forum on Tuesday night that is being sponsored by all of the caucuses. classes. So I'll get to go ahead and have people ask me questions and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the questions I started receiving a little bit prior were questions that were more geared towards somebody if they were actually running for elected office.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of people are confused about like what a party chairperson can do versus like what a legislator can do. Because I'm getting questions like, what are you going to do about, Hawaii schools learning about Native Hawaiian culture? Or what are you going to do about homelessness or things like that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't know that I'm going to have the authority to do anything about those things. The state party chair is there to help organize the party, help build the infrastructure, help with fundraising, get committees together, conduct meetings, be a representative at the DNC and things like that. Now, one thing I would like to do as state party chair is I would love to have a legislative committee come together. And I would like members from every single caucus to be in that legislative committee so that we can come together and create what's called a bills package. And I heard that this is something that used to happen in the Democratic Party. I don't know what happened or why it stopped, but what we can do is create a bills package together, not just me, together to figure out what the biggest concerns are. And then we can take that and hand it over to our legislators. Mm-hmm. And say, here's all the bills we're supporting. Yeah. So those are things that I can help with indirectly, but I can't directly help with like teacher funding or things like that. That's not something that's going to be in my authority to do. People look at the chair and see them as like the top of the party and whatnot. And that is theoretically true, but I know that true leadership will tell you that as a leader, your job is to be at the bottom and support everyone else on top of you. So if I can use the title and the notoriety that comes with the title to help any group get more eyes on a situation, I'm happy to do that. And I'm happy to find solutions that will help alleviate a lot of those concerns. Even if that means I have to go and talk to a legislator myself and pull my weight around in whatever ways I can. Mm-hmm. But this is very much going to be a group effort. It's not something I can do alone, and it's only going to be something that I can help facilitate with everybody else's help. And that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. We used to have what I recommend in a moment like this. I mean, you're coming new into this chair business, right? Running something in this format. You run your own business and you have other jobs prior in your life, and you know how boss works or how a structure hierarchy is. I think what I feel like is always really good, just talk to the elders how it used to be. Because the Democratic Party was built at some point. I mean, we had really strong senators, Akaka, right, and Inui. And apparently, I talked to one person, and she said that, there was clearly a strong leader in the Democratic Party and everything fell in place underneath. Maybe it doesn't work this time anymore. The years are gone by. Because what we see now in the Republican Party is this one guy on top and everything falls in place. Just thinking about it, it's like, no, we don't want this anymore. And I'm excited about you doing this or being voted in, because women are in general about collaboration. You're already saying that right there. So I will do my best to support you and get you going on that. So
thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes. It's a 50-50 chance.
I know it's going to be interesting, because apparently my opponent, from what I've heard from people, is that it's possible that they're getting a lot of their crew together and they're actually helping pay for their voters to come to the convention. Mm-hmm. And that takes a lot of organization and a lot of money. And that's not something I have. So I am definitely in an uphill battle. I do have a lot of support, though, from a lot of people around the islands. And I truly appreciate everyone coming together, telling me that they're going to vote for me. And I feel it's very heartwarming to hear. And I'm going to keep pushing the fight. And if I lose, I lose. It's going to be what it's going to be. It's a democracy after all here. But I'm going to do my best. And if I win, I definitely foresee a lot of change happening with everyone else's collaboration to come together and make it happen.
Yep. Well, we're here for the long haul. We're just getting started. Well, I see the radical right is crumbling. There's a lot of signals, a lot of people that voted for the current Trump president going on like PBS and all these, call-in shows. There's a lot of voices that are like really buyer's remorse, right? And we just learned that word. It's the Hungary model. So in Hungary, when we talked about it a few weeks ago, is that in Hungary, the overwhelming majority voted a particular party into place, but they got so much power that they can change the constitution. It's a 2/3 majority in that case. That's what we have to do. We have to work for this November that as many people as possible show up to vote. And until then, we can do a lot of things. There are a lot of organizations that you can help to reach voters, to wake them up, to inform them, talk about it, and reach people that maybe don't understand the political system or party system, or why it's important that Voting Rights Act in 1965 was, enacted and now taken away. So there's a lot of things to talk about, and well, we can all do it. I think we can all do it. So I want to encourage them, everybody,
We absolutely
and resist
can all
this
do
joy
it.
and then do it. Thank you for joining today. If you like what we do, subscribe, follow, all the little clicks you have to do. Let us know. You can also email us or text us or whatever, what you want us to talk about. Just getting warmed up. We're getting better and better at this. It feels lighter. I'm not as nervous anymore. And I really look forward to a Sunday get together with you. This will be published on Wednesday. And so until then, aloha.
Aloha.